Rick.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon. I should say good afternoon to you, right?
Yeah, just had my dinner. So, yes, it is afternoon, 20 past 1 here, whatever the time is. Just checking my computer. Yeah, 17 minutes past 1 in good
Very
old
nice.
sunny Lincoln today.
It's what?
Sunny.
Oh, I was just going to ask you how the weather was. It must be psychic.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. So I've got my dogs out early this morning around the local park and put the winter gear on and put the coats on because one of them's a bit old and shivery, and got out there and apologised to her because it was absolutely stunning. The birds are singing, there's sunlight streaming through, you can see all of the growth starting to come in the garden. So we're all starting again now, a brand new season, brand new way of living and being, and it is lovely. It's so uplifting when you've been stuck in for a bit. So bring it on. Let's get some more good weather coming in.
I love spring in England. I did a 6-week go when I was at university in London. It was a partnership we had with I think it was Cambridge, and they housed us at a hotel. But it was such a lovely time. We were at the Columbia Hotel, and just they had a lot of rock bands there. I met the guys from Big Country there. Not Stuart, not the cute one, but I know he's passed on, but not him. It was the other two guys, and they were very helpful. And we actually went out for an extended night on the town with them and my cousin Stephen, who lives in Surrey. And we had a blast trying to find a Warwick Castle pub. We found a bunch of pubs, but we didn't find the Warwick Castle pub they were looking for. So I can say I was young. I was only like 23 or 24. So I put back a lot of pints that night.
I can't remember that far back, to be honest. There's bits of my 20s that are a little bit of a blur.
I think they are for all of us. As we get older, we start to remember those things more and more. So everybody, I have to apologize. I just apologized to Rick. I look a fright because my phone died in the middle of the night, and so my alarm didn't go off. So I literally just rolled out of bed. But you know what? It's emergency upliftment, emergency vibes. And my hair looks crazy. I'm just a mess, but so I could still vibe like this. But I apologize, Rick. I do want to come to the table like super, super glam as I usually do. But so what we're doing today, guys, is this is our Monday morning vibe with the tribe. And we're just going to try and give you guys some upliftment for Monday. First thing, like me being late, waking up late, you can still come to the table with the same kind of energy. You don't have to come with, like a frenetic, crisis kind of energy. You can still, step to the moment and take a breath, take a beat, and calm down and get yourself back to, a nice, pleasant, mid-range energy that's going to go either way for the rest of the week for you. So, Rick, how do you wake up every day? Like, are you like, I'm going to be slow and I'm going to, get the engine going nice and slow and warm up the grease and, get things going? Or do you like spring out of bed and you're like, yay, like here I am? Like what's your whole vibe in the morning? No, not springing out of bed.
It will depend on the sleep. We've got a lot of animals in our house. We've got 3 cats, 3 dogs. And there's one that we've just sort of inherited that you can hear him revving in the background. It's like, woo, woo, woo. And then if you're not up in time for him, he starts howling. So you shoot out of bed. I've got to be honest, the majority of the time, if I'm woke up suddenly, I'm quite grumpy. And I'm one of these that I go downstairs, put the kettle on, get a cup of tea on the go, clear my eyesight. Because this is the good thing about becoming in your 50s, right? I've never had any issues with my eyes whatsoever until one morning I went on a job somewhere and I was trying to read a postcode, and this number on the postcode could have been an 8, a 6, a 4, whatever.
An S. It could have been an S.
Yeah, and it's just deteriorated from there. So it's now what it is like trying to find my glasses, trying to find my slippers. Avoid tripping over the dog, get downstairs, take a few deep breaths, get to the kettle, and then, right, we're ready. let's see what the day's actually got for us. But I don't think there's ever been a point in my life where I've sprung out of bed into anything. And I'll be lying if I said I was. I'm just like I said to you when we went off air the other week, I'm just off to my basket. And you said, what? I said, well, I'm like a grumpy old dog, you know. I do what I need to do. If somebody gives me a bit of fuss, I'll show a bit of appreciation, and then I crawl back into my basket and leave me alone, or I'll grumble at you.
I want a basket. I want a basket that I can scoot into. But I am one of those people that jumps out of bed. But I think there are some negatives to the way both of us get up. So, you know, if it takes you a while to wake up, I think that's better, you know, because you can kind of ponder what's going on and you can set the intention for the day. Our good friend, Paul Hutchinson, talks about doing your journaling in the morning and setting the intention for the day. He said something really cool to me when I was doing his 30-day optimum program. He said, you know, write in your journal what you want your day to look like. And I was like, that's something that I've never really given myself an opportunity to do, because when I get up, I jump and I hit the ground running. And I don't know if it's because I'm half Italian and I'm just raised that like my job is to take care of my family and launch my family off. I often don't have a lot of time to kind of think about what my day is. I almost go into automatic pilot. That can get a little sticky because you wind up not putting the oxygen mask on yourself, so to speak, like when the plane's going down. You wind up just kind of dealing with everybody else's stuff. And it just, I think the way that you do things, taking that time, having like maybe a slower ritual might be more beneficial for me, because I just don't think about it. You know, Dr. Joe says meditate in the morning. That Paul says, you know, write in your journal, think about how your day is going to be. And I kind of skip over all that and go into, all right, what does Angus need? What does Ella need? What does Greg need? I got to feed the dog. I got to take care of the cats. They're looking for food. You know, you wind up just kind of scattering. So like that consolidation of energy where like, you know, I'm focused on the coffee pot and getting to the coffee pot for myself, I think maybe is a better way for me to do it. But you know, what do you think? What do you think about that consolidation of energy, like setting your intentions for the day?
I'm not a great one for meditation purely because of the PTSD element that I was diagnosed with in the prison service. So I kind of bargain that if I'm going to do meditation, it's like a deal, right? I will sit for 15 minutes because that's about as much as I can keep my mouth shut. I've got to be talking. I've got to be communicating. But in regards to where you put your energy, definitely, I look at it's for me, it's like an investment. And what you're going to get, what return if you invest in that particular thing? Where's your better feeling coming from? Where's your your drive coming from? Because and this is talking personally, I realised I had a situation yesterday that in hindsight, I blew it up to be bigger than what it was. So I invested time into that situation. I put the structure to it that I'd got a plan to deal with the situation. And I had a poor night's sleep because that was still running round in my mind. And I've gone and I've dealt with the situation this morning, made a phone call to somebody who knows exactly what needs doing. And the phone call has put my mind at rest instantly, but I've wasted a lot of my life's hours plotting for something that truthfully I don't know anything about. And it's amazing to me that when you look at your energies, like I always say to clients when I sit with them, that we live in a 98 and 2% world. That 98% of the crap that we think up doesn't happen, and the 2% that does, we get through it somehow or another. So what you're saying there, it's very, very important to, I think strategize is probably a good word, where you're putting your hours. And then over the course of like, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks, just see if your pattern is actually paying off results. Because I'm in a very fortunate position that all of my work kind of dried up in one space about 18 months ago. So I can pretty much please myself when I get up. But I live in a house where my wife goes to work full time. So I kind of get up if I feel like it. I don't really have any set routines. I don't have any plans to do meditation or anything like that. Excuse me about that. I don't actually have any plans or anything like that, unless there's work to do in prep for a show at the weekend. So for me, I suppose I lack a bit of discipline, and I think that discipline is quite important. That I'm not saying that be negative towards yourself if you don't achieve your goals and that sort of thing, or you don't get your journaling done in time. But sometimes you have to go, right. Like I could sit in front of the telly, not watch it, but waste 2 hours just sat there drifting. Now those 2 hours could be used for something more constructive. So my thought pattern always is when I'm utilizing my energy for anything, where's it going? What's going to come as a result of it? So my morning is not very structured, but I can understand the need for structure, if that makes sense.
So you said something, I know, like we had talked about a topic before we got on, but we're kind of drifting away from it, but I think that that's fine. You know, when you said where your energy is going, like the dividends that we're going to get from that energy that we put out there. You know, we had discussed, because Paul and Mel were going to do it last night, the like the factor of bullying. So I'm wondering, maybe we should segue into, you know, how to energetically deal with bullying, because we do wind up with that, and that is an energy dividend that we can put out that can unfortunately come back. You know, if there's something that we need to, if we're trying to manipulate someone into a situation, that energy can actually come back at us and can negatively affect us, even if they're the worst person in the world, you know. So should we trod down that path? Is that a path we want to go down this morning?
Yeah. As you know, according to your audience, I'm the spiritual gangster, so let's do it.
Oh my God, we need hand signals for you, like the gang signs for. I love calling you spiritual gangster. I'm just doing that from now on. But you know what? It's so true though, because you are like it is kind of you know, thought therapist, spiritual guide. Like you are, like, I love when you say, and then what? Because so many people will say, you know, oh, you know, like say they have like a craptastic boyfriend. You know, oh, I did this, and I did this, and he still hasn't changed. He's still cheating on me. He's still, you know, going off and getting blind drunk every Saturday night. You know, and the best response to that is, and then what? And then what do you do? And how do you get yourself out of that maelstrom? How do you elevate yourself, or how do you exist in that? Because if you're going to live in a swamp, you're going to live in a swamp. If you want to live with Shrek, you're going to live in a swamp. That's just the way it's going to be. So you either have to fully commit to being in that kind of a life, or you have to find your way out of the swamp. Get donkey, and go somewhere. You know, you have to get out of that. So, you know, it's the decisions with the people that we align ourselves with really do affect us, and they really do affect our energetic vibe, and that extends to bullying. And Grumpy said something here. I'm very vindictive with bullies. So my mother always says nobody rides your back unless it's bent. And I don't know if I totally believe that, because I think sometimes people will step into bullying when they are feeling threatened. It's almost like that cornered rat that Putin talks about from his youth. You know, the cornered rat is going to do, I don't know if you know that story. Putin tells a story about when he was a child in the apartment, in the Soviet apartment with his parents. And he had this moment, there was a rat in the house and they were trying to get it out, and the rat was cornered. And he saw in this rat, not that Putin's any kind of, philosophical, person that we should follow, but he saw in this rat the bandwidth to do anything, to get out of that situation, to do anything. And, sometimes with bullies, we get in that situation where we get manipulated into a corner. We get manipulated or talked into a corner, into a psychological corner. And then we kind of lash out energetically. The problem with being in a bullying situation like that is you really need to pull the plug on it energetically, because you are most like the people that you surround yourself with. You absorb that energy. I like, even with you, Rick, gathering our little group of psychics, I was very careful about getting people that had the same intent, the same kind of vibe, but had a little bit of difference to them. So like, we're like a jar of cookies, not fortune cookies, but we're like a jar of cookies, but one's a chocolate chip, one's an oatmeal raisin, one's a snickerdoodle. We're all very different. But we're all a delicious cookie. We're all like still, on the same path. I think that that's really important. When we get into these bully situations, what happens is, if we start paying too much into that, if we start focusing too much on that, we can kind of get caught up in that maelstrom, that energetic maelstrom. Does it need to be addressed? Absolutely. And your past career in the prison service, you guys have a very different opinion of bullies and a very different strategy for dealing with bullies than, say, me in corporate America in insurance, where the customer is always right. We have different strategies for people like that. So how do we reconcile dealing with energy vampires, bullies, that kind of thing in our regular terrestrial life, and respond to that energetically, so we kind of preserve our vibrational level, we preserve our sanity, our sanctity? How do we do that? How do you best do that when you're dealing with someone who's super, super negative?
Well, for me, bullies are usually projecting an insecurity onto a host. They're usually diverting the way you away, or somebody away, from something crap that's going on in their own lives. So my wife is brilliant at being able to see all sides of a thing. Whereas me, if I was in the bullying situation, I would be wanting to go toe to toe with it. Right? It's not talking about being aggressive or nasty or anything like that, but I struggle at times that I do not like bullies. I really have a big issue with it. And as somebody mentioned in the comments that they were bullied when they was younger, I was horrendously bullied when I was a kid. So I got to a point where I went, right, okay, so I'm going to get bullied by this person. They're going to keep doing it until I stand up and say something. Now, the likelihood is I'm still going to get bullied because they're bigger than me. However, I'm going to have my say and my part in it. So when it's come to spiritual type of things with bullies and things like that, or energy vampires, however you want to call it, because at the end of the day, they're taking something from you. It's either your attention, your life hours, might even be your pocket money. I don't know. But I would say recognize what's going on, because for me, life is about repeat patterns and repeat occurrences. And if somebody's got the key, let's say that you put your barriers up, you make your intent clear, but you don't stand on guard by your gates, but you still give them keys to keep coming down that pathway. So my thought is always that I'll give somebody an open shot. I will give them that first chance. And because I think if you're honest about life, we can all get caught on the back foot. We can all get one that slips under the radar. The second time it comes in, there should be a light bulb starts to go off that this person isn't on your vibrational link. I mean, we're calling this Vibe with a Tribe, but your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you want to play the role of I can't do this and I'm not good enough, you will get an idiot that sees you as easy pickings. So it's up to you when you're in that moment of confrontation to turn around and just go, no. Because if you don't engage in a battle, there is no battle, because it takes more than one person to be in a battle. And what happened for me, and I still don't really know why this came about, I turned 50. So in my job in the prison service, I had as much combat as I could ever want for my whole life. I am not a confrontational person. I don't like confrontation. I don't like fighting, and I don't like violence, because it takes a lot out of you energetically. Makes your stomach ache. You physically respond to things. You've got that fight or flight thing going on, and it's not a nice situation. I turned 50, and I got up the day when I turned 50 and went, do you know what? I just don't want to get involved in anything like that. So what I do now is, if I've got somebody that's coming in and I suspect they're a bully or they're an energy vampire, says, right, come and sit with me. Right? I'm not going to get you to pay any money or anything like that. Come and sit with me. Communicate with me. But let me set some ground rules before I even get started. I'm going to rapidly lose interest in this situation. So I'm going to give you, let's say, 10 minutes to talk and tell me why you think I am, why you think that you can project your energy onto me, why I'm such a disappointment, why you're angry at me, whatever the storyline is they want to tell me. And in my imagination, towards my right-hand side is the kettle switch, right? And they have got till the end of the kettle switch to tell me their story and decide on their tack, because I will tell them exactly what's going to happen for me. If you're not going to engage me, I'm going. I'm obsessed with drinking tea, not obsessed with dealing with people that I haven't realistically got time for. And I spend a lot of time with clients sort of saying to them, they will tell you the story about somebody doing it. Well, how many times have they done it? And how many times have you said anything about it? Well, you know, until you go, no, this situation will not change. And you'll start to recognize people that hoover up your energy, because what tends to happen with energy vampires, they'll come with all of the bitching and all of the moaning and all of the whining about what life's dumped in the lap and how terrible things are. And you say, right, okay, right, that's a tough thing. So are you asking me for my advice and guidance? So you give your advice and guidance, and they go skipping off up the path, all happy and sweetness and love and light. And you're sat there feeling like somebody's opened your head up and tipped all of the contents out. Then they come back. And if you give them the opportunity to come back, you already have an answer as to how you're going to feel when they've gone away, because you've had the evidence from the first time. So I will say to people, it's a one appointment deal. Because if you go away and you do something different to what you've previously been doing, I will help you all day long. If you come back to me with the same story, having done the opposite or nothing, then you ain't coming in, because my energy is precious and it's safe for people that need that energy. And I don't care how big people are, how hard they are, what the reputation is. I will not tolerate being bullied. Because what I will do, quite simply, I won't confront it anymore. I should just switch off from it and just walk away. Because I believe you need a protagonist and an antagonist.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I put up energetic non-negotiables, and like that's what came through when you were speaking, Rick. You know, we have non-negotiables in our terrestrial life. We have people that, and I'll tell a little story about a student. She wasn't officially a student, but it was a woman that I was working with for a little bit. Yeah, you know, I love to coach. You know, I'm coaching TD. She's an amazing, gifted psychic. And Deborah, who was on here earlier, I'm teaching her. You know, I love to teach people that are willing to absorb it. There was a gal who, and I've coached all kinds of psychics. There was a gal who reached out to me. It was like through a friend of a friend of a friend. And, you know, she seemed nice enough, but every time we did a reading together, and she had a base knowledge of tarot and Lenormand. Every time we did a reading together, no matter what we were reading on, no matter what subject it was, she went down this really dark path. And I had her participate and I granted her three appointments with clients. I only did one with her. And basically what it is, you know, a client makes an appointment with me, it's a discounted rate, and my student can be in there and work the reading with me. So, you know, they still get a reading from me, but they also get, you know, an added perspective of another student, or a fledgling student or an apprentice, if you will. So I brought her into the first appointment, and it was a regular client of mine who was gracious enough and said, yeah, I want to help out one of your mentor or one of your mentees. And she went into such a dark place trying to impress this woman with her gifts that I just kind of let it go. And then I messaged the client. I said, I'm going to give you an hour and a half reading at no charge because I just want you to forget about what just happened. Basically said that. You know, it was this incredibly dark energy, this incredibly arrogant darkness that she was bringing to the table. And you know, I had spoken with her after, and I said, listen, you know, people come to get readings because they're in some kind of pain, they're in some kind of trouble, maybe they're in an energetic bullying situation. They don't want to be energetically bullied by us. You're not in the position to really flex that. Now, what you do is a little bit different. When you say, and then what, you actually empower your clients or the people that are on our lives. You empower them to make a decision. The difference is this person was really trying to motivate the client to get more readings. I don't know what it was, but it was like, you know, oh, your whole life is a mess. How come you didn't tell me this when you started? I was like, what? Like, you can't tell somebody that. No, that's like being a hairdresser and saying, God, you're really ugly. Let me fix you. It just was not good. So she was a person that I decided not to align myself with professionally. You know, the people that I'm aligning myself professionally with, you and TD and Deborah and Thor Sandalwood, who I adore, you know, aligning with people that are like-minded, that we all have the same intent. It creates this cumulative energy. And it comes through on the Psychic News universe. It comes through like we're getting a lot of good feedback from that. Just a reminder, everybody, we are going to go live. We're going to do it as a live show on March, what did I say, the 14th, March 14th. It's a Thursday at 1 p.m. New York time. So that'll be 6 p.m. On your schedule. I can't get rid of my calendar. You know, it's super fun, but you know, that is the opposite of what getting caught up in a bullying maelstrom can do. We're building really good energy together. We're making a maelstrom of manifestation and magic rather than a maelstrom of, I don't know, give me an M word that's gross, muck. So, you know, I think some bullies do need to be addressed. Grumpy Sapper said, you know, he had a boss that was bullying him, and then he slipped on the bathroom floor and he didn't bully him anymore, which I think is a nice way of putting that. But you know, sometimes you do need to deal with that with like an energetic exclamation point. Yeah, does that make sense? But the non-negotiable, the energetic non-negotiable is I'm not going to continue this energy stream. So I look at a lot of interactions with other entities on the terrestrial plane as energetic streams. So, you know, some of them are flowing really, really hot and heavy. Some of them are flowing very nicely, and we're just kind of cruising down the river. I know, you know, I have like 4 girlfriends that, like, literally 4 girlfriends that are having some kind of serious medical issue. And, you know, I had to kind of pace myself with the streams that I got involved in and the attention that I put on certain individuals, because it was just too much. I found that if I spread myself too thin, I wasn't doing anything for myself. I wasn't, I was trying to be supportive of everybody, but it sometimes gets a little complicated. When we have bullying situations and they can spiral out, and you and I know there's like a number of situations with people that we know that are going on right now. And I just, I know where my allegiance is. I know where the good folks are on this side. And you just really want to feed that pig. I always say feed that. Does that translate to England? Do you guys talk about that? Feed the pig?
No,
So
I've
like
not
a
heard
piggy
that.
bank? Like when you have a piggy bank, it looks like a pig and you're putting money in
Yeah.
it, you're feeding the pig. I say feed the pig all the time with like, all kinds of stuff, energy, whatnot. Oh, the Hut Jess has a day off today. She just popped into comments. Hello, Mel.
Well,
Hello, Mel. So, I think having a collective that is a positive energy source, and Mel and Paul are certainly part of our little conglomerate. They're not on the Psychic News Network or Psychic News Universe. Sorry, that's somebody else's. They're not on that, but they're part of our positivity network. And Mel, I was talking before about Optimum and how Paul has us setting our intentions for the day. How does our day want to look? But we're talking about bullying. So if you're in that bullying situation, say you've got a boss who's being needlessly demanding, so that's something that's been going on, and a few of my friends have been talking about it. And I just saw a recruiter had posted on LinkedIn, the minute I see a company starts to push for back to office, I reach out to their employees because I know they're going to want to look for another job, which I think is pretty smart on his part. But there are a lot of companies that are pushing for students to workers to go back to office, and a lot of them are saying why. I have one girlfriend who's like, she's got a lot of obligations, and she has a family member who's sick, and she's primary caretaker, and they're pushing for her to go back to office. And she's like, I've been working from home since the pandemic as hard as I can. Why do I need to go into the office when I've already demonstrated that I can be more effective from home? And the answer is really, well, just because we want you back here. We want everybody back in office, and you should be an example for everyone. She doesn't want to be the example because she has someone to take care of. It's the guilt trip and the bullying is really ridiculous. And I hate to say it, but I did advise this person just to find another position. So I'm kind of getting far afield. I think it's from my lack of coffee. So where do we want to go from here, Captain Rick?
I think I'm just sort of touching on what you said there about you called it feed the pig. I feel that another way of looking at it, and it was something that actually inspired me. I've got a friend and organizer that runs a lot of the shows that I'm fortunate enough now that I turn up the day before and help put the tables out and the signage and the banners and all of that sort of thing. And it was really nice because he's like a modern day philosopher, and we start to talk about anything and everything. It's not sort of subject constrained. We discuss all sorts of things, primarily about energy subjects. And he talked to me one day. I'd got over here, I call it getting your knickers in a twist. So I got my knickers in a twist over something, like I said to you off camera, totally irrelevant in the scheme of things. But for that particular time, that was what I was focusing on. And he just said, so let me get this straight, that you've got yourself wound up over a situation that you can't actually deal with. I went, well, yeah. He said, and how much time are you going to give it? And I went, well, I don't know what you mean. He said, well, we've spoken a lot about this. So let's say we've spoke 20 minutes about this and resolved nothing. He said, you have invested your life's hours in something for no return. He said, so think about it this way. If somebody gave you a pot of money and said, right, this is your life's hours for the day, But at the end of the day, we're gonna do what I call checks and balances on it to see where you've spent it. And you touched on this briefly, I probably without even knowing, maybe you did know, I don't know, you are psychic after all, that when we start spending our life's hours, the idea behind any investment is a return. So essentially what we as spiritual workers, I believe, in my humble opinion, should be aiming for is selling better feelings to people. Not sat there in judgment, not telling people how they should do it, but be honest and say, we're looking for a better feeling from that subject. So if you start getting upset and angry over something, you're going to get more of that back. You're going to get more opportunities to learn about that side of things. So he spoke about where you invest your life's hours. What returns do you get from your life's hours? Because truthfully, even the best psychics in the world, the best mediums, do not know exactly when you're going to pass. So whatever we do know is that life's hours balance is going down all of the time, because at some point we are going to pass. That's, you know, what is it? The two sureties in life, the death and taxes. So we know that we're spending constantly on the life's hours. So think about, if you're tired, you go to bed, you have a sleep, hopefully you wake up rested, better feeling. Hopefully, you know, if you're wanting a holiday, you go on a holiday, you have a fabulous holiday, you come back refreshed, better feeling. You know, you might want to go to the shop and buy yourself a big bar of chocolate, bottle of wine, or whatever it is that you do. But essentially what you're looking for is a better feeling. So I then say to people, okay, so you have given me a storyline in the background. I can't believe that your ex-pupil said something like that, because that's boggled my mind. But the thought there of saying, right, so you've given me a list of things that you are not happy with. Right. So I say to him, right, so let me get this straight. Let me process this through. So you are processing this negative energy, this negative emotion. Right. I'm going to present you with a challenge, because I'm a bit naive and I'm also up for a challenge. So this problem, give it a label. So you've got depression, anxiety, being bullied, being angry, being whatever. Right. I want you now to give me a sales pitch and sell that to me. So this always happens time after time. I sit with the client and I give them as much space and time as they need. And they say, what do you mean? I said, well, all of these things that you're investing your time and your life in, I'm offering to take them off your hands. But I have one condition. And that condition is to show me how I can productively use that energy for something that will benefit me in the you know, going forward. And every person, man, woman, child that I've ever spoke to about this has said the same thing. Well, I wouldn't want anybody going through that. I wouldn't even give it away. I went, well, there we go. If you won't give it, if you won't let me buy it, would you give it to me? From one person to another. And they'll go, no, because it's a horrible feeling. So my answer is always the same. If that is the case and that is your answer, I'm not here to change it. But what I'm going to ask you is, if that is the case, that you wouldn't inflict that on somebody else, you wouldn't sell it to them because it's non-productive and it doesn't work, why the hell are you investing in it? And they look at me and they go, I said, well, let's simplify it. If you went on holiday and went to a really crap hotel, the food, the service, and all of that was bad, you put your bad review on wherever, would you book to go back next year? And they all say the same thing. No, of course I wouldn't. Right. Stop investing in people that bully you. Stop investing in being angry and upset and wound up and things like that, because it's non-productive. You are not going to gain any better feelings whatsoever from your investment, because when you look at your pot at the end of the day, there's no money gone back in.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about your life's hours and your investment of your life's hours is you don't get the chance to spend them again. You know, once that hour's gone, you're not going to return to it. So assuming, and this is only assuming, that we get up every day, we've got a refilled pot again. So if you have a bad day one day, look at where you invested your energy, what you got involved in, what you bought into. Was that a productive use of your time and energy? So my strategy with bullies and energy vampires is, yeah, I'll indulge in once, but I will make it very, very clear that this is like a cut and dry deal. I'll give you your opportunity, but if I'm not going to come back to you and play in your storyline, because they want something, but if you don't deliver it, they're not going to keep coming back, because it needs those two energetic, it's like that those two plates need to come together. And I'm not playing ball with it. So I don't invest in anything like that anymore. The strategy that I've come up with recently, and I don't know whether this will fit into what we're actually talking about, but this is a strategy that I've come up with recently. For some reason, with the energies being as crazy as they are around the world, it's thrown up a lot of emotions. It's thrown up a lot of past memories. It's thrown up a lot of stuff. I'm told by people that know better than me, it's about timelines coming into alignment from. So, you talked about energetic timelines coming in parallel with one another. So it's kind of like all the bits of you that are on parallel paths coming in, and you're kind of experiencing everything. It's limited understanding with me. I'm going to be honest with it, but I like the way that it was put to me. So it's generated all of these emotions and brought them up. So there's been a few things that I thought were long dead and buried that have raised their ugly head just recently. And I thought, do you know what's overwhelming? And what tends to happen with me is when I get overwhelmed, I tend to do nothing. The to-do list will pile up. But when I look at these things and I go, right, that's a negative emotion that I'm investing in, I've come up with this simple strategy. 2 words, or abbreviated. Thank you. Right? Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Good, bad, or indifferent. Thanking the teacher. Every situation that comes up requires looking at once. Thank you. So I've been bullied by somebody. Thank you for helping strengthen me in the fact that I'd come to the point where I said, no, I'm not dealing with that anymore. Thank you to the person that has oppressed me, because again, you've lifted my spirits enough to turn around and say, I don't want this for myself. Thank you for showing me depression, because that is where all my creativity stemmed from, because I went to ground, I went on my own, I wanted my own company, and this is where I devised the new strategy. So whatever teacher that you have got presenting you, because there are good ones out there, there are good experiences, but if it falls into the category of negativity, just say thank you.
I think that's such an amazing exclamation point to put on an experience with an energy vampire or an energy bully, an energetic bully. I think saying thank you is so definitive. And, we say that when we leave the shop, after we buy something, after we buy that bottle of wine and that bar of chocolate, we say thank you, and we walk out. Someone holds the door for us, we say thank you. It's such a good wrap up for everything, and you can even add on that, build on that when you have a good experience, oh, thank you, universe, more please, that kind of energy point for people, I think, is really important. And this isn't magic. This isn't, 3 hours of meditation. This is sending that out just like an atomic bomb or anything like that. One of my favorite scenes, I don't know, did you ever see the Bruce Lee movie Dragon?
Not sure. I've seen Enter the Dragon, and was it Way of the Dragon?
Oh no, it's the story of his life. It's a biopic.
No.
It's actually really, really good. I think her name's Lauren Holly. She dated Jim Carrey for a while. She plays his wife, Bruce Lee's wife. And he gets, Bruce Lee rents this ramshackle studio, and it's the first studio he's going to, and they have all kinds of issues with her parents because he's Chinese, and there's all kinds of drama with that. But they go into the studio and he says, come on, we're going to do this. We're going to build this business. And he hands her a pebble. And he said, you know what happens when you drop a pebble into a pond? It causes ripples. It causes ripples to go out. And so he hands her a pebble and she drops it in the studio and it creates ripples. And, I think, when you approach a situation that you don't want to be invested in energetically and you say, thank you, I'm going to move on to another teacher, I think that that's such a great pebble drop or exclamation point on the situation. And likewise, when the situation turns around, you go, oh, thank you, more please, universe, so yeah, I don't think, and I hope this isn't coming off as me saying, you should be a pushover and like, the old biblical turn the other cheek, because a lot of the time when you turn the other cheek, I grew up punk rock. If you turn the other cheek, you get popped in the other side of your jaw, or you get kicked in the butt or whatever. You can't be an energetic chump. You really have to take ownership over the situation, and if you vibe just a little bit higher than that person, because let's face it, negativity vibes very, very low. It's like this crazy droning annoying thing, and it doesn't vibe consistently because of the emotion that's spiking through the whole thing. And when you've got these bullying situations, whether they're kids, I mean, I'm being bullied by an adult in my personal life right now, which is so stupid. The reality is I'm smarter, I'm cleverer, I've got more creativity than this person, and they're very much threatened by it. And I can do that struggle uphill all day long, but then I would have to take that energy away from the positive things my kids are doing, the positive things my husband's doing, the positive thing, my students are doing, my coworkers are doing. I would have to rob Peter to pay some guy who I don't even know his name. It just seems really stupid. So thank you. I think that is such a good takeaway for today for everybody. Like, thank you is your exclamation point. And it's either thank you, I'm done, and I'm going to move on to something that serves me best, that serves the universe best in a positive way, or thank you, more of that, please, when it's a positive situation. And I just wanted to pull up Mel's comment here. This is such a great example of setting positive energetic field in a workplace. Intelligent EQ, emotional intelligence, has been like kind of a hot button word for the last couple of years, I guess, in corporate and in other circles, in other working circles. If you bring a human aspect into your leadership at your work, or just into your work, into the people that you're working with, understanding, like today I messaged you and I said, oh my God, my alarm didn't go off. I'm a few minutes late. Like, you could have been mad at me. We could have stepped into this and you could have been really annoyed with me that I wasn't on time. But you weren't. You could be annoyed that I'm not super pretty today. I'm a little sloppy, but I'm not that sloppy. I brushed my teeth and washed my face. So I'm not too much of a mess. But, having that understanding, and this is an example, Mel's post here is an example of feeding the pig. That's an investment that she's making in the people that work for her. But more, it's an investment in the people that she's working with. We're just kind of getting that in there, and we don't have to dump positivity. Like, toxic positivity is something I think maybe we should talk about next week, like just being like ridiculously positive, and the house is burning down and you're like that little dog, this is fine. I think giving that slow dose of positivity and making that the theme and the baseline of your interactions with people, it's going to come back threefold. They say in magic and witchcraft that whatever you do, it's going to come back to you threefold. So if you want to energetically, vilify someone, it's going to come back to you threefold eventually. It's going to happen. And TD said, oh, I can't do that. So the reality is that you don't have to do it all day long. You don't have to be, like a cult member, like, oh, I'm so happy and everything's wonderful. Being in the spiritual world and the spiritual, professional sphere, I know that there are some people, and I'm sorry, like they just get on my nerves. Like some spiritual people, like, they're like, oh, you can't be a spiritual person if you're not a vegan. And I'm like, well, I was a vegan, and I was a vegetarian for a long time when I was a kid, and I weighed next to nothing, and I was completely anemic. And my doctor was like, if you don't eat a steak, I don't know what's going to happen to you. So, I went back to eating meat, and there were some people in the spiritual sphere that were like, oh, all life is life, and you shouldn't be doing that. Well, I don't. I believe that all life is life, but I also believe that it infuses us with stuff. Now, am I going out there and like killing my own venison and cows and whatnot? No, I'm not doing that. I'm doing the best I can, but I need to fuel myself so that I can keep going and doing things. And I think being very one dimensional about it and saying, well, you can't be a spiritual person if you are not a vegan. Like that just doesn't, it just doesn't work for me. It just, I think it's again, very one dimensional thinking, but, we don't want to be outrageous. Maybe we are talking about toxic positivity now. We don't want to be, all 150% love and light. I mean, some of that there was someone who came for me and was like, yeah, this person is not what they claim to be in terms of a reader and a psychic and whatnot. And I went and looked at her work, and she was like, oh, love and light. And I was like, why are you bullying me on my own channel? Like, why are you doing that? It was just kind of shocking. And then she tried to say that she didn't, and she clearly did. It just Hutch is here, but he can't hear us. That's okay. I'm just waffling, so don't worry about it. But it's those people that want to be overly positive. It's not realistic. You can't really live in a terrestrial world like that. When we get to the other side, when you leave this lifetime and you get to the other side, yes, it's a lot of positivity over there. It's very different in the interim between the two lifetimes. But it you just can't live like that. You need to have psychic self-defense here a little bit. And I think thank you again is a great exclamation point for that. You just thank you. I'm going to move on. So I'm waffling now. I'm totally waffling. So
I was just hoping you was going to come up with your phrase, because I loved it, and it rattled around in my head for a week after you said people that go around being all hippy dippy, right? I'm going to steal that if you don't copyright it, because I just love it.
Go ahead.
Because it drives me mad when people get involved in this slagging off one another's labels, right? I think as a reader personally, right, if that was me that was having a go at somebody else's style, or I didn't like the way that they had their diet, or I didn't like the way that they dressed, right, I'm losing something there, because your focus, for me, this is my own personal opinion, should be on your client. Right? As soon as you start getting involved in the discussions about this, that, and the other, right? If you're client-centered, their energy is what's most important. And if you're a true spiritual worker, you're working on behalf of somebody. Right. And the idea behind that is to bring them upliftment and to bring in light. So this is why I slightly changed my approach. Is I don't work with dark energy personally, but I'm not afraid of it. So if I've got somebody there that's dealing with something particularly dark, I will go in there as the spiritual warrior and help them while they deal with it. But I'm not going to be sat there telling them, oh, your lifestyle's wrong. You're doing this, that, and the other, because who am I to judge anybody?
Yeah, me too. We don't do this because we want to judge our clients. We want to do this because we want to help them. I always say find the yellow brick road. We want to help them find that yellow brick road out of things. And that was the person who took umbrage with what I was doing. basically was like, oh, I work with celebrities. That's why I would never do a celebrity reading online. Well, the reason why a lot of us do these celebrity readings is so people can use that example and apply it to their life. So they can see how cards and tarot and oracle cards will help them kind of find that yellow brick road, maybe out of their experience. So if I'm doing a reading on a celebrity that maybe has substance abuse problems, something like that, maybe some of that reading is going to resonate with the person who's watching. Maybe they have somebody in their life who has a substance abuse problem, and they're going to maybe take something away from that. When I first started my channel, I was much more gossipy and not solution oriented with my readings online. I really just was kind of giving the news and giving the energetic news. And I got away from that after about a year on my channel. And I said, you know what, I really need to say, well, how did they fix this? How do they, how does this celebrity rectify this situation? And I've even done it with Meghan Markle and Harry. I've said, how do they get out of this situation? To their ultimate end, whatever they want to do. And I think that makes me a little bit different. If you watch the first few minutes of my videos, yeah, maybe you're going to see that, I'm saying, oh, well, celebrity X is, not doing so good, is really self-involved and, stepping out on their spouse and blah. But if you get to the end of it, I start to say, well, how did they fix this? How did they raise their vibration? How did they get to a place of clarity? How did they get to a place where they're better than they were the day before? And Mel said here again, I think we should be raising others. We don't shine brighter by blowing out someone else's candle. I love that right there. I love you. We don't shine brighter by blowing out someone's candle is such a perfect saying. One of the things that I do whenever because we all get negative comments. I've never seen a negative comment on any of your streams, but I'm sure you've gotten one or two at some point. One of the things is like, I hope you have a better day tomorrow. I hope you have a great day today. I just try to infuse that. And I think when we're dealing with bullies, which YouTubers do deal with bullies, like we get people in there. I had somebody come in and when Alicia and I were doing Dueling Tarot, and in the comments, they were like, oh, Alicia doesn't read reversals. She's not a real reader. Okay. No, she is. I have plenty of decks that I don't read reversals. I have plenty of decks that I do read reversals. It really is just a matter of preference for us. Alicia's an amazingly gifted reader. She reads for me all the time. So, it's for people to step in like that and kind of throw that when you just say, thank you. Or, my boyfriend, Danny, who passed away, he used to say, smile and wave. Cause I was very emotional when I was younger. And he would say, just smile and wave, just smile and wave and let them do what they're going to do. It's such a good way to divest yourself from that energy flow. When we start to get upset, when we start to, feed into that, Mel, not only are they blowing out candles, but sometimes they're blowing and creating an inferno because they wind up making everybody angry, and then the whole room's on fire, and we're running out and nobody gets any birthday cake. So mood hoovers. That's a mood hoover. I'm trying to pull it up. Why won't it? There we go. Mood hoovers. My system was giving me a hard time. My computer's gotten a little bit slow. I think it's tired of all I've been asking it to do. So we were kind of all over the place on this, but I think it was great. Let's give people some energy cards. What do you say?
Look for that.
So, and I don't have tarot cards out. Correction, I do have tarot cards out. but I've got something really cool here. So I was telling Rick about this before we got on. I belong to the Hay House Card Club. So if you're in England or in the UK, I don't know if you guys can get this here, but it's from Hay House. It's Louise Hay's company. She unfortunately passed away just a couple years ago, I think. But she's got a card club. It's like $34 a month. It's totally worth the investment. But they send you 3 decks and you get all kinds of discounts and stuff. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't want you guys to think so, but last month I didn't even open my box because I was so busy, and then I just got my new box. But the Golden Future, there's usually Oracle cards in there. It's like mainly Oracle cards and maybe 1 or 2 tarot decks every now and then. But this Golden Future Oracle card by cards by Dana Cooper, I think is pretty cool. I think we can look at some energy with this. And Mr. Rick, I am going to give you 1 card. So this is going to be an energy brightening for you. I'll do 1 for you and I'll do 1 for me, and I'll talk about what yours says, and then you can say what Spirit says to me. This is you on the left, and it's world peace and cooperation. That makes sense with what we're talking about. And then I'm on the right with community life. So the left for my good friend Rick here, world peace and cooperation, choose harmlessness and teamwork. And this is something that, like, you were one of the most enthusiastic people when I said, hey, should we do this collective psychic thing? You were like, yes. Like, you didn't even pause. Like, I wasn't even finished talking, and you were like, yes, let's do this. And, and again, with this, when I said, let's do a Monday morning liftoff, you were very enthusiastic about it. And I'm always very shy about like asking people to collab. Like when I asked Alicia Wicker to collab, I don't even think I had 1,000 subs. And she had this cute little channel, or I shouldn't say little, she had a substantial channel. And I was like, I've been watching, Tarot by Janine, and she's got that gal and John Paul that come on. And I was kind of wondering, would you go to the prom with me? And she was like, it's so weird. I've been thinking about getting somebody to do it. And she was like, I didn't know who to do it with. And it's so funny because she's in California. I'm here on the East Coast, and we're very much the same. We have very different ideas. We have some different opinions, like the royal family and things like that. But we blend really well. It's really a good blend. And I was so afraid to ask her. And now, like, I almost feel like I'm like asking everybody, come on, let's get in on this. Let's do this. But there's a reason for it. The reason I'm doing it is because I'm trying to build this fabric and network of positivity and people that are going to uplift our communities. I have a really charming community. I love the people that are in my community that I've created on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Twitter's kind of lacking, but I love the people that are there. I've become friends with a lot of them. And you are one of them. Like, I consider you a friend. If shit goes down, give me a call. I'll be there. The world peace and cooperation and doing that psychic bomb, dropping those psychic, happy bits of excitement and getting that over to people and expressing that, I think is really such a great path for you. And it's really where your energy stream was going. And I just happened to be a tributary that, we're onto the same larger river now. And I think that that's amazing. I think, we all very easily found each other. And I think it's amazing that we're kind of working toward the collective. So this tells me that you are in the right direction. Now, you're going to read this card, because mine is community life and embracing the 5th dimensional society. And I think this is perfect for you to read for me. So what is Spirit telling you about that?
Well, it's interesting as a collective of those cards. It's mirroring kind of a conversation with that I had with a couple of people yesterday. It was strange when I was working yesterday. I had a real busy stretch, and then my inner being went, "I'm done." Right? I'd got time to read for other clients, but my inner being went, "I'm done." So I just started wandering around a little bit and talking to people, and we've just having a conversations without bringing any political things in there or anything like that. I said to them that I personally believe that we're in the biggest energetic war, unseen war, with everything that's going on, without generalizing, without bringing anything in. And they agreed. And I said, so my heartfelt belief, and this is where I think you're a big advocate for this, is that there are teachers out there that are going to generate snippets of things, right? You're going to, what was it we were talking about the other week? Chicken soup for the soul. It's little bits that we're dining on. When we start to work with one another, that energy, and encourage positivity, that's going to have a knock-on effect on people's energy. So, like what I see looking at you when you come on, I mean, you worry about your appearance and all of that lot, but all that for me is the meat suit. What I see behind it is this just incredible, vibrant person there that looks for positivity, that looks for uplifting people. And we've got people that will do all sorts of different jobs along our path, but we do need somebody to keep us in order. You do need that, the keeper of the keys, in effect. So it's got to generate from somewhere. So I'll quite happily jump in on any conversation whatsoever, but I'm disorganized. My mind runs in tangents all over the place. So when they've got somebody there, and this is what I honestly believe, that if you as a student want to learn more, you look at somebody that has got, in my opinion, more knowledge than what you've got. You're looking for the teacher, and when the teacher is needed, and the pupil accepts that they need the new teacher, you will step in. So I was talking to somebody and they said, "Oh, you're absolutely brilliant at this, that, and the other." And I went, "I'm really not." I said, "But I'll tell you what happens when you come in with energy, that if you're learning lessons, so say I'm the teacher, and I'm not a teacher in any way, shape or form, I'm a guide, and I want to make that clear because I get so many requests about me teaching. I wouldn't have a clue what I would teach and what I was talking about. But my idea behind energy is that that person that you go to for advice and guidance is slightly above you or very close to being on your level.
Yeah.
Right. Once you've exhausted their knowledge, then you're going to vibrate higher. And this is where you come in. So you're that next level teacher because of your years experience, because of your enthusiasm, because you're a human dynamo. Then you start to look out about people that you can farm in, because where Mel was talking about, where you got that pool of people, that's what life's like. Mm-hmm. You get a pool of energy, and for the likes of me, certainly, I have my own negativity, but it's never towards anybody else. It's usually at myself. So I'm always looking at where I can go in and what I can bring to the table, and I'm always looking at how I would personally feel if I was in that situation. So when I spoke about thank you earlier on, that was all because I was just like, right, because I've learned from other people. The more and more I get involved in anything darkness, the more and more that I will experience that. So when you said that somebody of your stature, in my opinion, and bearing in mind, you're talking about these people that have got all of these followers, right? I've got 271 people on my channel. So when I look at somebody that's got your years of experience and your way of looking at things, and you're resonating with me on that sort of frequency level of positivity, I am absolutely privileged. I don't blow sunshine up people's arses. That is not my way. I tell the truth. And this is what I was saying to these people yesterday. Get around people who tell you the truth, no matter how difficult it is. Because once you start vibing in that positivity pool, that generates a wave. That wave can soon follow on to the next thing. That can give somebody that upliftment. It could be a smile. It could be a positive word. It could be a giggle. It could be a laugh, whatever it is. But the next person that you come across, that'll give them a little bit more energy. And this is how I believe that this war that we're in the middle of will stop. So for me, you call me a spiritual gangster, you're an energetic general. Because what you're doing is you're leading your troops into that battle, but you're equipping people with the right weapons. You know, the positivity, the upliftment. And what I like about you is the diversity of your opinions, because you realize as well as I do that not everybody's going to like what we do. No. I mean, I looked at how I handle confrontation these days with sarcasm and humor. Like, if anybody comes at me that gives me any negativity, well, you're entitled to your wrong opinion. So that's how I handle it. You take away from that what you will, but you are a spiritual teacher and a guide. You are an on-earth guide. What my role is I'm the healer of healers. So I go into the dark places to help people lift their own energies. But what I want to say, and I'm sure you will agree with this, is that we're not saying that we're like these people that have cults. We want people to follow us. No, that's not what it's about. It's about promoting positivity, because I think that more positivity that goes out there, the more these also rans and dark demons and all of the rest of it, the majority always wins. Whatever situation happens in life, whatever your politics, whatever your belief system, the majority always wins. So the more light that we can generate for people, and the more people that where we support guides, as far as I'm concerned, right? I'm not all fluffy bunny by any means whatsoever, but I'll stand and out while you're dealing with your darkness. And I think that this is your role in life. For me, spiritually, when I'm looking at you, you are well on your way to flying. I said this to you, didn't I? Off camera and on camera with this other venture that we're doing. Whether I'm involved in it or not, mark my words, and everybody that's watching, everybody that's involved in it, everybody that gets involved in the future, this is absolutely going to fly, because it comes from the right base. It comes from that place of honesty. We're not sat there in any judgment on anybody. And you are the catalyst for that change. So you asked me what I think spiritually. Mark my words, lady, you are absolutely going to fly with this.
And, well, and that's the thing, like, and people, even my girlfriend Kay, she's like, oh, you were always so happy and nice in school. And I was like, oh my God, I was a disaster on the inside. And like, I still am. Like, I'm not perfect. Being elevated spiritually does not mean you have to be a perfect person. Like, I eat a steak every now and then. Like, I'm not opposed to that. So sorry, cow, but you're delicious. You're a delicious cow. I'll take your energy and I'll use it for good. But I have good days and I have bad days, but the whole, fifth dimensional part of this, I do feel that my guides are putting me with different people, like Tarot Destiny, like you, like the Hutches. I'm getting good people put in my periphery so that I can reach out and embrace them and bring them in. And I again, like working with that collective to uplift. I think, we can all have a bad day every now and then. If our collective is mostly positive and mostly, has a good vision, good foresight, foresight, not like psychic foresight, but, and that's, that's something I've had people, the great unwashed, come on my channel and go, you're not making any predictions. You're just talking about what's going on. And I always say, there very few things in our life are fated and static. Very few experiences. We always have free will. We always have the opportunity to not do what spirit wants us to do, or we have the ability to not do what we agreed with our spirit guides when we were on the other side. We can just veer off and say, hey, I'm not going to take the path that is rocky and being a prophet and being a leader. I'm not going to take that way. I'm going to go the easy way and be somebody's lazy kept trophy wife, like, not that there's anything wrong with being a trophy wife, but you can choose which way you're going to go. And I try to explain that to the uninformed that come to my page and comment on it and say, you're not making predictions. I am making predictions. I'm saying if given celebrity does this, they can expect mediocre results. But if they do this, they can expect better results. So, and that's how I advise my personal clients. I know that's how you advise your personal clients.
Oh, no. I've got to pull you on that one, right? I don't know whether this will float well with you or not, but I always make a point of saying when I'm sat at my table at shows, I don't do predictions, because the last time I had my hand down the front of my pants, they were fleshy and not crystal. And that is my stock answer. I say it so many times, and it kind of like it's either gonna work or it's gonna be divisive, because I want to know what the person is doing at that moment in time, why they need a prediction. I sat with somebody and I stopped the reading after about 5 minutes because I asked them 3 times what they were looking for when they were sat with me. I explained I do not do predictions. The tarot cards will tell you the story. If you're the person that's handling the cards, the storyline will be dictated by your frequency and the energy that you put into those cards. I said, and all I do in the way that I work is interpret them. So she asked me again, she said, what is my future going to be? And when I asked that to somebody one day, they said to me, your future can be whatever you want it to be, because there's free will of choice involved in everything that you do. So I went around the houses again, and it's like leading a horse around the racetrack. There was the fences to jump over, and I went, right, I'm now telling you that I don't do predictions. Have a good look around this room and see if I'm your reader. That is your second hint.
Yeah.
She still went round again, and she came back with a slightly different orientation of the words, but essentially saying the same thing. And I went, right, I'm going to put this as bluntly as I can. My finger is hovering over my record button, right? Once I press that button, you are paying.
Yes.
You went, oh, right. I said, so I'm asking you for the last time, am I your reader? And she went, no, I don't think you are. I went, well done. Because when they talk about predictions, my view of working spiritually is, if you imagine going past somebody's house on a motorbike at full speed and get a view through their mucky windows like that, and I get a snapshot of something that I've got to interpret. Now, my way of interpreting certain situations is going to be different to every other person's viewpoint in the world. I can't blame spirit. I can't blame my interpretation. I give what I've got. And then to tell somebody accurately that their future is going to turn out this way, that way, and the other way, for me, that is not in my wheelhouse. That is not what I was born to do. That was not my destiny. What I look at doing is, and I said this to people so many times over the last 6 years, that I look at bringing people to their own start line.
Right.
So that they're prepped to go and make those decisions. Now, what they need is like the backup, the person that helps them do the donkey work. And then their future then opens up to what they want, however they want to do it. But it's putting them in the place of reality and saying, right, this is all well and good that you want somebody outside to take the blame if things don't go the way that they predicted. How about you use all of that energy, your money, your finances, to drive yourself down the roadway that you want to go for, take personal responsibility, and go out there and live the life that you want, rather than hanging your life on somebody else's bits of cardboard. It mesmerizes me that people come with the expectation, like you said, we have shit days. Right.
Yeah.
We have days where you'll trip over something innocuous and it'll have an effect on your whole day, because you'll get grumpy, and this, that, and the other. So to give me that responsibility to tell you how the rest of your life's going to pan out, like, I can't cope with that sort of pressure. Right? I'm a normal grumpy guy. I've just been lent this incredible gift from spirit that I can talk the iron leg off a donkey. I can read a little bit of cards. And Spirit informed me that I'm good at what I do. Whether I am or not, I don't know. But you will always get truth and honesty with me. So I don't. That's why I don't do predictions. But it's each to their own. Spiritual gangster, I lead the pack. Do you know what I mean? That I'm not a follower.
Yeah, like people expect us to be like Professor Trelawney. Oh, you're in grave danger, you know. And like we can't do that, you know. So, oh, Mel said, "Am I going to win the lotto?" So
No.
I say that all the time. I go, I'm going to be the first psychic that it's psychic wins lottery. I'm totally doing that. So I may have to, you know, if I win $5, I'll do it. I'll do a big episode. But let's pull some cards for everybody in the chat. We've got roughly 20 to 25 people. It keeps going up and down. Let's pull some cards for people in the chat. So I just shout out right now. We're going to start with Mel. Since she's here, we're going to start with Mel. And I got, music. Bring yourself into divine harmony. So, Rick, what does that say to you? I'm going to come down a little bit so that it's easier to see. What is Spirit telling you about that?
Yeah, I know Mel does singing. So I'm a bit of an advantage there that Mel's in the choir. And
that's right.
I am a big advocate of music. My wife and I were talking about this earlier on. I'd had this discussion that when I've been to spiritual churches, I've been told I've got a nice voice, right? And I find it really, really strange because I don't agree. I've actually recorded myself singing certain songs to see if I could see what other people see. And what I think about music is it's an amazing upliftment. It really is nourishment for the soul. So I've heard Mel's voice, and Mel is very good. So what my thing is there is all orchestras. This is just the message from Spirit. All orchestras need a conductor. Don't know what that actually means, but that's what went through my head. All orchestras need a conductor. Mel is an amazingly strong person, and I've met her, as say, and I've had the fortune to actually talk to her. And I would personally say she underrates her gifts, certainly spiritually. There's a lot more going on around there, because what makes me smile is Paul will tell you himself that we can sit and have a conversation about all sorts of things, American wrestling and various other things, our shared experiences in the prison service. But he doesn't see that he's actually doing spiritual work as well. He don't get it all, right? And yet, when you talk to him and you see aspects of things that are coming out where you generate, and you want to be not sympathetic but empathetic to people, and Paul, whether he realizes it or not, is a spiritual conduit.
Yes,
I'm going to leave this with the thought on that one, that we all know who the real boss is in that house, Mel. And if Paul's listening, tough. You'll have to come and find me, mate.
Well, I think that Mel is actually the centerpiece of the choir. And she's setting the tone for all of the music around her. So I think that, you know, that's what I'm getting from this, that she really is the pitch perfect that everyone needs to follow. So, conductor, maybe, but I feel like she's still got her sleeves rolled up and she's still wearing the choir robes and she's still singing. It's something that I love about you, Mel, is that you are a quiet leader. I am kind of a very loud leader. Like I go in, I'm like gangbusters, and I'm a little overbearing at times, but because my energy is just a little bit different. Your energy is like a pulse, like a very strong rhythmic pulse. It's constant and steadfast, I think is a really good way of describing how I feel your energy. It's a very steadfast, constant energy, reliable energy. So it's Dexter. He's the real boss of the Hutchins. Love that, Dexter. So, having that super, super strong energy is just such a gift. Because I do feel that mine is a bit over the top sometimes when I'm leading people. So, one curious thing that I do want to bring to everyone's attention: the most healing tone is F sharp. That is the tone if you're going to get a sound bowl or anything like that. And Mel, probably like having a sound bowl in your house, you could very quickly get everybody else on the same page with it. I do it whenever there's discord in our house. I have a crystal sound bowl that my mom gave me, and I'll ring that thing, and it's powerful. You feel it in your ears, you feel it in your chest. Sometimes when there's discord in the house, having that tool help you kind of sort everybody out really does help. Now, I'm going to skip right over because we had Wifey had asked for a card, and I'm trying to get back. Wifey, I'm just going to pull up one of your posts. I can't find the exact post, but we got for her crystalline light body. Build your crystalline Merkaba. I have to look this up. I have to tell you what a Merkaba is. So card 39, I'm going to do some reading here. Rick, if you want to pull in what Spirit is telling you, that would be great.
I've no idea what the actual thing means.
So here, I'll read you from the book. I'm sorry. This might help you. In the golden future, humans will transform from a third-dimensional carbon-based form into a fifth-dimensional crystalline-based one. The metamorphosis will take place at a cellular level. It will happen as the body holds higher wattage of light containing love, knowledge, and wisdom. This is the journey to ascension. So your spirit travels in a light body known as a Merkaba.
Okay. I mean, my guidance or guide that's coming in there is talking about alignment. It's talking about raising the vibration and at an earthbound level, talking about confidence level with your spiritual work. I think lots of people are being challenged at the moment. It's almost like, do you want it? Because I think it's all up for grabs. You either stay at the level that you are, or you go up to that next level. But it's like with anything, there's a price to pay for it. So I feel with you that it's maybe a case of just sieving a little bit, getting rid of some of the bits of crap there that are like the minor irritants. So my big famous Effort bucket possibly needs filling up around you a little bit at the moment. That you are raising your vibration, you are on the right path. And I'm certainly not going to turn around and preach to the converted, as what is my guide is talking about. I just feel that it's time for you now to make that next jump and just remember just how bloody good you are. Because I've had conversations with you and you know a lot more than you let on.
Yeah.
My guide is just laughing here because he's bringing in that you're a wise old bird.
Wifey is fantastic. She's a hoot. She is absolutely a hoot. One of the things that it does advise to take in more light, this is good for all of us, eat lighter food, drink pure water, and connect with nature, and take appropriate exercise. Watch your thoughts, words, and actions and ensure that they are positive, which this is so on topic for what we're talking about now, deflecting that negative, dark, bullying energy. So I think that's pretty cool. Meditate, practice ascension exercises. And then there's a quote here: in the new golden age, everyone will inhabit their spherical crystalline light body. So we can dig into that really well. So I am going to pull up Tarot Destiny, and we're going to pull a card for her as well. And we have one: the population sees your opportunities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right?
Oh, that's just really, that sent tingles down me, because what was just said to me, and I right, so to explain how I work, I still sit in awe at the way that my guides and that works with me. and it's strange because as a normal everyday guy that goes about his business, I don't always understand what's going on with it all. But it's a consistency where things happen, and I go, "Oh bloody hell, you've already told me that, haven't you?" But like to sit and say to you, I 100% believe everything that I hear. I would be lying. So I'm not saying I doubt it, but it's amazing that just before that came up, there was a gentleman stepped through for you, TD, and he come in there and he's just going budding star that one, and you are about to, it's almost like stepping on that rocket ship. You are ready to fly. I'm not being not disrespectful to any teachers or guys that you've come along, but you need to now start stepping out of the shadows. And what I mean by that is, I'll be very clear about this. This is not darkness. This is not anything negative about your experiences. This is about you taking your own center stage. You talked about Mel's energy there. Now, from what I've seen at TD, there's this quiet confidence in the background. There's this level-headedness that you'll not get overwhelmed by anything. But it's almost at the minute, it's like a box on a conveyor belt that's still padlocked. I think once it comes out, because what my guide is showing me is rainbows. This sort of we will be able to remember this at our age, the Care Bears with the Rainbow Bright type of thing. I've just got this like outpouring for you at the moment, but it's up to you whether you stick the key in that padlock and get that opened up, because there's so much more for you to come in this year off your own back, as well as what you're doing as well. You need to be doing more readings. You need to be doing more of this stuff for yourself, because you've got it. Forget about all of the technicalities. Just go on there, put the camera in front of you, and your vibe will attract your tribe. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, if those of you that are on here have not subscribed to TD, I'm going to put up her Instagram. Trying to get her up here. Sorry, guys. Come on. My system is just going as slow as molasses. I think I need to defrag or something. Spiritual defrag. That's TD's Instagram. Guys, go on over there and give her a like. Samantha, yes, I had you in line. So we're going to give you one too, Miss Samantha. And let us know what you think of this deck, because what I'll do is I'll pull up all of these fun Oracle Ascension decks that I have on Mondays. So Samantha is getting card number 27, the 12 chakras. And that is follow your ascension path. So I'm just going to pull this up as well. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't round out TD's either. TD, I agree with everything that Rick just said. I think that you do have the key. It's just time to put it in the lock and turn it. And when that door opens, you're going to get a breath of fresh air. It's going to hit you right in the face, and it's going to be restorative to your whole spirit. And there's already such a level of positivity and light in you that you just need to kind of shrug off a few things so that you can free that up. So I think you're amazing. I think you're an awesome reader. I think you're an awesome psychic. And I think, TD, drop your YouTube in there as well. You can absolutely do that. Deborah's back. She's watching from the doctor's office. So skipping back over to Samantha, we got card 27, the chakras, which is follow your ascension path. By 2032, our planet is to become fifth dimensional. That's something that a lot of psychics talk about. By 2030, that the planet's not going to be the way that it is now. We're not going to be in a more physical state. We're going to be in a more energetic light state. So by 2032, our planet is to become fifth dimensional. So everyone will have their 12 chakras in place. and open and active. Your silver earth star chakra below your feet ensures that you are living according to your divine blueprint. Your platinum base chakra means that you always feel totally safe and trust that you're looked after. Your pink sacral attracts only loving relationships, while your orange navel activates cooperation and oneness. Your golden solar plexus brings forward your confidence and wisdom. Your white heart opens you to love. Your royal blue throat chakra enables total honesty and integrity, and your transparent crown assists you in connecting to the stars. Above them, your transcendent chakras glow. Your white causal opens the door to angelic worlds. Your magenta soul star empowers your soul and journey, and your orange stellar gateway connects you to your monad, your divine spark. The guidance of this card says, remind you that every single choice you make affects the light your chakras emit. And I think that that fits in with our bullying thing too. As long as we are doing good, we are elevating ourselves. What are you pulling from all this, Mr. Rick?
The thing is on there, the word that came through for me loud and clear was alignment, right? And pulling. How can I explain it? Like fragmented energy. So another word that's coming in for you, Samantha, is reconciliation as well. I feel that maybe you've spread yourself too thinly over these last couple of years, that your energies have gone out quite a long way, and they've not always yielded you the best results. So I feel that where you're at the moment, I don't like to try and teach anybody to suck eggs, because I don't know what your spiritual development's like, but I almost want you to restart, go back to the beginning, reconcile everything, and just realize that what you've been through has been difficult, but it's been necessary. So we spoke about earlier on about lessons that we learn from things and saying thank you. So it's almost now, right, you've done all of your work in the darkness. It's now time to put that light on and get out there from that safety zone and start rebuilding. You've been through your tower moments, and I think that for me, you've been through a lot of difficulties without knowing anything that's going on around you. You've been through a lot of difficulties. It's now a period of readjustment. So where I would be concentrating my efforts on around you would be around the root chakra, and the root chakra is great foundations for building that future path. So remember that you've got the strength. Remember that you've got that inner wisdom. Remember that you've got that past wisdom when you tap into it. And from what I'm being told, and I don't know who she is, but this is the image I've got in my mind. If somebody sat there with a mini Bible, she's quoting scripture and chapters of things like this. So it might be worthwhile, even if it's only a guide, of pulling a Bible out. And I'm not religious, so this is not me preaching, but pulling the Bible out and having a look at some of the verses. I don't know where this is coming in for you, but it's just about knowledge and rekindling your enthusiasm and your passion. And that is about that. I am going to have to dip out in the next couple of minutes, because I'm out tonight at another venue reading.
Oh gosh, I didn't know you had work tonight. Holy crap.
Yeah, but it's not an issue, but I've probably got, just looking there, probably about another 5-10 minutes.
Okay. So pick a person. Pick somebody.
Who have we got? Grumpy Sapper.
Oh, okay. Here. So we'll do one for Deborah on the left. Okay. And then we're gonna do one for Grumpy on the right. Oh, he got some crazy stuff. So Deborah got health and healing, tune into your divine blueprint. So that again, this deck is talking about your energetic alignment and being clued in on elevating to a new spiritual point. So health and healing, divine blueprint, perfect health and vitality are programmed into your fifth dimensional divine blueprint. So that fifth dimensional self is out there. it's, you know, we may not be living in that outfit every single day. We may not be living in that highest vibration every day, but it's out there. We can tap into it. Rick spoke before about the different levels of energetic vibrations that we can live on, the different and this is a subject for another day, the different dimensions of existence that we have at the same time, and at any given time we can tap into those. So we can borrow from that fifth dimensional self in our terrestrial self right here and now. So this is about finding that perfect health, finding that perfect body, finding that perfect balance, and pulling it in from that fifth dimensional self. Any messages you're getting, Mr. Rick?
Yeah, I just want to draw your attention and Deborah's attention to the first time that we did the Psychic News Universe, where she wasn't bothered about showing herself on camera. She wasn't. She's one of these that puts herself behind, and I'm not saying down, because I like the strength and the quiet confidence that comes off her. She's no show pony. That they have to leave that to other people, don't they? That don't shut up. But there's just a sense there with her that I believe in this thing called right and divine timing. So you're not behind anything, you're not in front of anything. So this about getting balanced. This is all about your grounding. This is your technique. This is your connection with your spirit. You really, really are. I mean, there's a wisdom and a knowledge about you, and I feel that a lot of that comes from past life connections. And it's almost for me where I'm seeing it. I've got light in a gas cooker, so I'm like fueling. I'm cooking something coming up, so it's sending the light out. So it's okay. This is really weird how this is going, but like sending up the bat signal, and you're pulling in your guides, your inspirers, and your spiritual team. Look along the angelic realms as well. And what was the other one that we got there for?
So the other one is for Grumpy Sapper, and that is Blueprint for Fifth Dimensional Humanity. Remember your gifts and powers.
Yeah, this is what they're giving. It's the trust element that now she started to realize that it's not as big and as bad as what she thought it was when she's on camera, and that she can contribute.
This is for Grumpy Sapper, though.
All right, okay. I'm sorry, I was giving that same interpretation. I didn't realize that you was right. So I'll take that back, but pass it on. All right.
I'm sorry, I'm not a good producer today.
Right, Grumpy Sapper. So when I'm looking at this for you, right, I'm going to be a bit blunt with you. I'm going to take the chance with this. Stop getting tangled up in other people's shit and drama. It's time to cut through the cords that are around you. And sometimes the only answer comes in is that it is what it is. I don't personally like that saying, but there's a word that's springing to mind for you, in my mind, is acceptance. It's not understanding, it's not liking, it's not agreeing with, but accepting a situation as it is, and then coming away from all of the bullshit and drama. I would love to overlay that. You know, when you do readings, Annabelle, where you put the confirming cards, I would love to see the Ace of Swords overlaying that card there, which is my bullshit detector, which comes through, cuts through that illusion, and allows you to communicate clearly. So this blueprint that you've got, I sense that it's maybe been a little bit blocked. Yeah. So I'm looking at that. So overthinking, overanalyzing has given you emotional heartbreak. There's been some stormy skies around you, particularly over these last 6 months. Coming away from the drama, I feel now is the time for you to really step into your own, but you've got to do it from a neutral position towards yourself. So learn your lessons that you've had to learn. Don't put the past behind you. Deal with it in the now. Fill up the effort bucket and move on into that brighter light, because you have, whether you've written yourself or not, this is where you're going to get a bit of a bolt of lightning up your backside. Got work to do. So it's time for you to crack on and do it. Okay.
So the mantra for this card is act as if it is already the new golden future. That's kind of cool.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So our fifth dimensional paradigm embraces love, cooperation, peace, harmlessness, service, inclusivity, and acting for the highest good. So, you know, doing that we can jump shift in our consciousnus as the sixth root race of humanity emerges. Can you not growl at me? Raven's growling at me. So our gifts and powers are encoded into the 12 strands of DNA, and all will be available to us. So for another day, we'll talk about those root races. We'll do a little Madame Blavatsky work and talk about the root races that she talks about in the what is it, the oh god, I can't remember the name of her swan song set of books, but all I can think of is the divine something, and that's not it. I need more coffee. So Grumpy Sapper, I think you're lifting up a little bit. So so there's a couple of people that are asking for readings, and guys, we're unfortunately out of time, but we're going to do this again next week. And Rick's just got to jump, and I actually have another live that's coming up. It's a pre-recorded live pick a card for you guys, so you can jump over there. I'll be in the comments in a couple of minutes, but I come back next week on next Monday, and we're not necessarily doing readings, but we're providing some uplift for everyone. So we just want to get you guys kicked out with like a really great, strong spiritual basis for the week. Again, vibe with the tribe, trying to get everybody going. So any last words, Captain Rick?
Honor and a pleasure as always to sit with all you guys' energies, in particular you, Annabelle, and I'm very, very grateful. And I, for one, am going out there. I've got an evening of readings at a place a good hour away from me. I'm going out there and I'm absolutely buzzing. So thank you for indulging me and allowing me to spend time talking about doing what I absolutely love doing. It's been an absolute pleasure again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so it's just our second or third week doing this. So we're still working out the format, guys. We still, the basis of this is we want to infuse everybody with some really good energy for the week. We want to tackle some energetic topics, like today was energetic bullying. I'm going to come up with a few. Rick and I will talk about them and see how they're going to fit in with pop culture and everything that's going on in our lives and in yours. So this will be fun. Again, it's not technically readings. This is just elevation that we're going to do every week. So with that, we're going to say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you back next Monday. But we'll have some lives that are going on in between. We'll have some videos in between. If you haven't subscribed to Rick, please go over and do so. If you haven't subscribed to me, please go over and do so. And spreading love and positive vibes. Absolutely come back next week. 8 a.m. or 8:15 New York time. That's 1:15 Greenwich Mean Time. But we'll all be here. Okay. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. I'm going to have my pick a card on in just a minute, so you can pop on over there if you'd like. See you soon.
Cheers, guys.